I'm Alyssa Eppel. I'm a professor in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences at the University of California, San Francisco. And I've been studying stress for many years. People always say, well, then you don't have stress. But of course, I'm a high-stress person, so it keeps me very interested and busy, and I use every strategy I know.
My name is Eleni Jaswa. I am an assistant professor in the Obstetrics and Gynecology Department at the University of California, San Francisco. I am a practicing clinician, so I see patients who are struggling with infertility, help build families in a variety of ways.
My name is Sarah Gottfried. I'm the Director of Precision Medicine at the Marcus Institute of Integrative Health at Thomas Jefferson University. My work is mostly at the interface of mental and physical health, and I would put spiritual health in there as well.
I am so excited about being able to look into the nervous system, mine and all the women we study, on a daily basis. And then the ability to kind of zoom out and look at how we're doing across time, which these biosensor rings or wearables allow us both that close-up view as well as this longer view of how we're doing.
I think the Oura ring provides a level of transparency that I didn't have when I was, in the peak reproductive years. So to have a glimpse into your physiology as you're managing your reproductive cycle, it gives you a sense of agency that I was lacking when I was in my 20s and 30s. So I really appreciate that opportunity, and I'm excited to see what happens with it.
What's the most understudied problem for women? What makes you mad when you see women not getting the care they need?
We've got twice the rates of depression, twice the rates of insomnia, twice the rates of Alzheimer's disease, which is a disease of middle age, not old age. We've got higher levels of stress. We've got more trauma. There are all these ways, autoimmune disease, 4 times higher in women versus men. And I feel like the only way we're gonna close that gap is more data.
I think wearable technologies empower individuals, and I'm thinking about, specifically in my practice, women who come to me with concerns, for example, about menstrual cycle. I think there are a variety of benefits for just being aware of where you're at in your cycle, and they vary for individuals. For some women, many of the individuals I see and treat, they're trying to pinpoint their fertile window. I think with wearables, now with continuous temperature across the night, we can get a little more accurate, and that is kind of to be determined because the studies are exciting and ongoing.
We can also use those as early tracking for some of the temperature dysregulation that happens in perimenopause and menopause, and we can pull out some of these different factors that are impacting sleep. And to have a daytime stress feature, to me, is radical. I went on a hike with one of my patients last week, and she just got an Oura ring, and she was asking me, okay, what do I track? What do I focus on? Start with your readiness each day, start with your sleep score, and then really pay attention to your daytime stress.
With all of these momentous changes, how can digital technology, wearable devices, play a role in improving clinical care? So a lot of issues, whether it's cancer or hypertension or other risk factors for future cardiovascular disease, a lot of these things are asymptomatic until it's problematic. We can intervene earlier, motivate behavior change earlier.
I heard from a futurist that right now about 50% of Americans use wearables. And in 7 years, it's going to be 100%, and a lot of them will be implantable. These metrics that allow us to go so much deeper and to really understand what physiology is like for a person and where there might be opportunity. So whether that's deep sleep and REM sleep, whether it's looking at daytime stress, I just feel like there's this opportunity that if you don't use wearables, you're guessing.
And I really love how you are thinking about how do you inspire people to take better care of themselves. So how can wearables help us thrive through menopause?
We've got to help women understand what they're up against over 40 to help prepare for it, and then to manage it. Where is my body in this process? How can I get fully empowered to address it? That's where wearables are really helpful.
And I think it also speaks to the fact that we're only just starting to study menopause despite the fact that it's affected and afflicted women for hundreds of thousands of years. It really is a response to a withdrawal of hormones that can be smoothed through behavioral and medication routes.
Taking a lifespan perspective, the importance of women being able to know their stress in their body, become aware of it, regulate it, that type of empowerment is a real paradigm shift in women's health and girls' health. This type of awareness is really helpful for girls as they go through development and adolescence. And part of understanding sex differences in stress and cardiovascular health is also understanding that the environment is socially embedded with stressors that affect women more than men.
So there's almost a societal paradigm shift then that needs to happen, where taking the time to have that restorative moment in your day isn't lazy. It's taking care of your body, but also your mind, because I think the restorative moments are kind of the kernel of creativity, performance enhancing, help with productivity at the end of the day.
And I also wonder how we tie wearable data to prevention of heart disease, or once you have heart disease, prevention of future heart attacks, et cetera. So how can wearables help us in that case?
It's a great question. I mean, ideally, it just gives us this richness, depth and breadth of data that we can clinically interpret outcomes based upon. We have more opportunities to see it and detect it when you're looking more than 30 seconds a year with a blood pressure cuff or heart rate measurement.
You know, I think there's an opportunity with this connection between stress and ischemia that you pointed out. And women are just so different than men when it comes to sex differences as well as gender differences and heart disease. The risk group that has the highest increase in hospital admission for myocardial infarction is women from 35 to 54. So we are becoming more metabolically unhealthy.
When we see women develop problems like hypertension, preeclampsia in their pregnancy, we know that that is a predictor of future cardiovascular disease. We can see how your body responds to this challenge and if perhaps you're at increased risk down the road.
And so I feel like pregnancy is such a critical time to develop that body literacy. Even if you've largely ignored it through, your earlier years, this is a time where the stakes are higher. And as you said, it's the stress tests that a lot of us can fail. And the more that you understand what's happening with your body and realize how that can map to future consequences, it just gives you this tremendous opportunity to manage your life in a different way.
So about the insulin resistance, I think this is another unexplored area. It's a major highway to aging, all types of diseases, and we have some control of our insulin resistance. When we have people with cravings, particularly for sugar, do these short mindful check-ins to reduce stress, the stress reduction reduces cravings.
Hopefully, more data through wearables like continuous glucose monitors or other physiologic parameters might give you that alert that at least says stop as you're reaching and check in.
The data is prevention science. It's allowing us to not just rely on self-report and health behaviors, but that real internal knowledge of how is the body responding? What's the output of everything about my day? My emotional health, my nutrition, my activity. It reflects in our nervous system. It reflects in our sleep.
When I had young kids, I used to put the yoga mat out. I would lie down and do Shavasana. The kids would climb on top of me, and I just would learn how to model that for them, because I want them to grow up and be, young women who have tools for how to manage this world that can feel like it's stacked against them. How to have agency, how to have a sense of finding that pause so that you're not just, kind of in it.
And to be embodied enough to know when you need it. And if you're not, maybe your phone will tell you.
That's right. Your wearable will tell you.
Yeah.